and welcome to another vlog. For those of you who are new here, my name is Cass, and I am the fire portion of Fire and Ice Designs. I am here today because we are adding a new item to our shop, and I thought I would take you along with me on the process of making our first item that is for sale. I have already made our proof of concept, and it is a Sailor Moon skirt with a big old butt bow. And I'm super excited. I'm really happy. A friend of mine asked for one of these for her daughter, and we thought that this would be a fun addition to the Princess Play skirts. So I am making one. I made this one to make sure that the design I had in my head actually would work. But that is the plan for today, so that's what we're gonna do. We start by ironing all the fabric. This took about 2/3 of a yard of blue all told. Then we cut out the 4 pocket pieces. Pockets were a special request from the client, and I'll never say no to pockets. Since they have raw edges, and so I don't have to French seam them, I zigzagged the edges to prevent fraying. Then, the pockets get stitched on both sides of the front and the back panels and ironed flat. I top stitch the pockets with the seam allowance pointed towards the pocket. This keeps the pocket from flipping out and being visible when worn. These pockets match the skirt, so it wouldn't be a huge deal, but it makes a nicer finish this way, and it's best practice, so that's what we do. Then I put the front and back panels right sides together, pin around the pocket piece to make sure they're lined up properly, and stitch down around the pocket to the side seam, and then down the side seam, creating one giant loop of fabric. Next, I marked the pleats using my self-healing cutting mat. I just marked with a chalk pencil every inch, making a stronger mark at the center front. There are 7 box pleats across the front panel of the skirt. I fold the pleats up, pin them in place, then take them to the machine and baste them down. When basting your pleats, go slow. Don't sew over the pins. I'm also running 2 lines of gathering stitches across the top of the back panel to be able to gather that down into the waistband. Now you see me pressing up the hem of the skirt 5/8 inches. I'll turn that up again, encasing all the raw edges, and stitch it down, making sure to backstitch at the start and end of my stitching. Waistband time. I used the pattern pieces to cut out the front and back pieces of the waistband from the white fabric. I only need one back piece and two waistband front pieces here, but you see me cutting out a second back and a third front piece to prevent fabric waste when cutting out the fabric. Then I trace and cut the waistband front piece out of interfacing and cut that out. When using fusible interfacing, make sure that the bumpy side that has the glue on it is facing the wrong side of your fabric. The fuzzy and smooth side should be facing up towards the iron. Even if you triple check, using a scrap or a pressing cloth between your iron and your fusible interfacing is always a good idea. Ask me how I know. Then stitch the two front waistband pieces together using a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. And clip the curves and trim the seam allowance down before pressing the seam allowance towards the back, the interface side. And now we're understitching the seam allowance towards the back as far as you can go. This is tricky around the curves and points, so make sure you're using your presser foot and leaving the needle down and picking the presser foot up to maneuver around the curves. Pin the waistband back pieces to your newly assembled waistband front pieces, right sides together. Pin the elastic to the waistband pieces as well, lining the top of the elastic piece up with the stitch line at the center front of the waistband front piece. Make sure the elastic is on the outside at this point. Stitch together and press the seams to the back. Finally, it's time to join the skirt to the waistband. Pin the waistband and the skirt right sides together, matching the center front and center back. Gather the back and of the skirt to make it fit the waistband. Once it's all pinned together, we can take it to the sewing machine and assemble. For this design, Zach cut out some iron-on vinyl decals. Weeding these things after they're cut out is time-consuming, but deeply satisfying. They get attached using a pressing cloth to protect the project. Pro tip for using iron-on vinyl: let it cool completely before you peel the plastic transfer sheet off. Then use a pressing cloth to give the decal one last tap with the iron for security. Sailor Moon skirt is done except for the bow, and I forgot that I was filming this. So what I've done is I've cut an 8-inch strip of red fabric and I cut off an 8x20. This is going to be the tails. What's left of that 8 inches sewed together into a rectangle. I'm about to flip it right sides out so that this becomes the giant butt bow, and this will become the tails. So let's go do that. Tails. Here I am marking the 45-degree angle for the ends of the tails so I have a clear stitching line.
Some of you may be able to see that I did it the wrong way the first time and had to redo it. Now I'm trimming off the seam allowance and clipping my corners so that I can turn it right sides out and press it flat.
There are more cats. They're posturing over whose territory this is. Waiting for the fight. Here it comes. There it is.
Now that the bow and the tails are separately assembled and turned right sides out, it's time to assemble the bow pieces. I roughly pleat the bow and the tails together until it looks the way I want it to, clip them the way I like them, and hand stitch that pleat arrangement into it. It's not very scientific, but it works. So, Also, this is a lot of fabric, so definitely use a thimble here. The finishing touch is the center of the bow. This is just a smaller rectangle of fabric, also sewn into a tube. I wrap it around the center of the bow to assess how long it needs to be, fold over the raw edges, and hand stitch it in place. The last step is to stitch the bow onto the skirt waistband at the center back, making sure that the stitching is nice and secure. We don't want our Sailor Scout to lose her bow mid-transformation. That would be disaster. And she's done.
That's it for the Sailor Moon skirt. All of the Sailor Scout skirts will be made this way, and these will be showing up in our shop soon if you want one for your Sailor Scout with a giant butt bow. There you have it. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out our Etsy store in the link down below in the description, and we will see you next week. If you enjoyed this, feel free to subscribe, give us a like, and ring the notification bell if you want YouTube to notify you anytime that we post a video. And I will see you next week, guys. Have a great week.